What if the conversations that you're avoiding are the exact conversations that the Holy Spirit wants to use to change your life? If you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. This is a statement that, I would say boomers, Gen Xers, millennials. I don't know if Gen Z got it at all, but so many people have not only heard this, but we were forced to live this. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And what is most interesting about that is that statement kills every possible good conversation that can happen. That statement, this rule, legitimately stops us from exploring the mean thing or the not nice thing that we need to process and need to work through. Further, what we deem as nice or mean depends on the person. And so we live these lives where we don't say anything. We don't speak up. We are not honest. We don't give the truth in love. We don't process. We just avoid so many things because, I don't have anything nice to say. And I hate that. It kills me when we as Christians couple this statement with the self-producing fruit of niceness. And so we never get to have full relationships. We never get to experience the fullness of not only love with the Father and ourselves, but we don't get to experience that in our Christian communities. Now, I am not saying that it does not happen at all. I'm not saying that. I am saying that it is that much harder to do if we do not speak up, if we do not process, if we do not open ourselves up to the idea that hard conversations and hard things, like to say hard things, is okay. So because we aren't taught how to speak or how to listen, we swing between these two extremes. We either explode and apologize later, or we say nothing and we keep this false peace. And then we stay stuck. I know so many people that have lost the art or never learned the art of, one, being able to speak well and speak through the things that they are feeling. And on the flip side, they don't listen well either. And so we find ourselves going back and forth in our relationships. And I'm not talking just marriage. I'm talking family, friends, children, work, all of these relationships in our churches, in our small groups. We have these issues and we have these things that we want to talk about, but because we aren't taught how to speak or how to process or how to listen, we just swing between these extremes. Some of us may be the exploder and the apologizer later, and some of us may be where we just say nothing and we just keep this false peace, essentially until we become the exploder and then we apologize later. But when it comes to this process, when it comes to living this way, we have to remember, going back to emotional intelligence, we have to practice the emotional intelligence part of our lives. We have to have the Holy Spirit or allow the Holy Spirit to show us the things that are bothering us, the things that are shaking us, the things that are holding on to us that we don't know how to let go of, the things that we don't know how to process. We have to ask the Holy Spirit to help us walk through the emotional intelligence process. What do we feel? How do we feel? Why do we feel these things? Because if I can start to answer these questions, I don't just stay angry. I don't stay in these extremes if I start to ask these questions. If I'm asking what I feel or how do I feel, why do I feel this way? What were my expectations? What do I want from here on out? What can I do about it? Holy Spirit, help me to process this. After I get some answers of why I feel this way, then I can start practicing saying them with love. And that's the whole point anyway. Again, going back to love. This is not just a feeling that we just have. No, it's compassion and sympathy and goodwill and kind and helpful thoughts, friendly thoughts. That's what it is. So even if I have an issue, how I deliver said news should land on their heart. It should not land on ears that are now a brick wall because I've attacked them so much. No, I can say, hey, when you did this, I felt this way. When this was said, I felt this way. Can you help me understand why it was said that way? Can you help me understand what made you choose those words? Can you help me understand what was your intent? I felt hurt when you said that. I felt angry when you said this. I felt confused when you said this. And I would like to understand what's actually happening here. That is how we speak. That is how we speak about the issue we're carrying with love. But I can only get there if I walk through that emotional process. I can only get there if I know and understand what I felt, why I felt it, what I was expecting. And this is a very great practice that Jenny and I have recently just got into, where we're looking into ourselves and saying, Holy Spirit, help me slow down so I just don't snap back. Holy Spirit, help me to realize where I am wrong. Holy Spirit, help me to see what it is I'm actually feeling and what the actual issue is. So if I can now speak to them in love, the cool thing is now I am speaking to build clarity. I am speaking to build clarity in love. Hey, I am sorry and I apologize. This is where I was coming from. I did not intend to hurt you. I am so sorry. I was moving too quickly. I was doing this or I was doing that, whatever it may be, but speak to build clarity. Choose your words wisely. Don't infer or drop hints. This is not the time to do that. This is not the time to have somebody figure it out. If you are not at a place where you can speak clarity in love, you have not figured it out yet. Walking through the emotional intelligence process will help you calm down. It will help you calm down when you get to the point of just understanding what it is you feel, why you feel that. You don't carry this, you don't feel as uptight. You don't feel this tightness. It releases because you're able to name it. And so when you do now come to this person. You can say, hey, I would love to share these things with you, but what tends to happen is I get overstepped. I start to talk about it and you tend to take over the conversation. I'm not saying that you are a bad person. I am saying just what is happening. When you overstep, I don't want to share anymore. I don't want to share what's happening with me if you are going to continue to just hear part of it and then go on with your story. It hurts my feelings. I feel dismissed. I don't feel like your friend. I don't feel that this is a back and forth thing. It doesn't seem that way to me. And I would really like that. That is clarity in love. Clarity in love is for the purpose of clarity, building the relationship, not control. So often when we speak up, we want to speak up so that the other person immediately changes to do what we want them to do. That's not how relationship works. Kids are very great at showing us that's not how anything works, really. I have to make sure that you know and understand where I'm coming from. A good-willed person, a fellow Christian, is going to hear you out and is going to, if they especially are walking through their own emotional process, they are going to be able to meet you there, apologize, and move off of that stance that they're on or whatever it may be, and be able to speak back to you with clarity in love. But the moment that I show up to convince you or to control you or to manipulate you with my emotional words, I'm not doing this for the sake of the relationship. I'm doing this for me. And the Holy Spirit is going to begin to let you know if you're doing it for the sake of the relationship or if you're doing it for yourself. If I'm loving myself well, if I'm loving the Father, being loved by the Father, loving myself well, and now I'm going to go love others well, how I speak and what my intent behind speaking is needs to come from love. Every day, every conversation, regardless of how hard it is, I have to take these steps, allow the Holy Spirit to show me what my issue is. Ask the Holy Spirit to help me answer these questions, understand what I'm feeling, and then to help me speak well. Proverbs 15:1, a soft answer turns away wrath, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. A soft answer. Yeah. Let me double check that because I don't need y'all coming from my head. Proverbs 15:1. Get out of here. Also, I'm leaving all of this in the podcast because this is just who I am. You know what I'm saying? A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. That's not just what I say to people. It's how I think in my own mind. If all I think are harsh words, of course, anger is going to continually be stirred up in me. But if I am legitimately looking to heal and build and love and do this life with Jesus, well, then a soft answer, the Holy Spirit is going to come into my mind, into my heart. I'm going to hear this soft answer that should de-escalate the wrath. So as I go to speak, I have to make sure that I'm speaking for clarity and building. It is the exact same when it comes to listening. I am listening for clarity in love. I am not listening to use their words against them as ammunition. I am not listening to use their words as ammunition. I am listening for clarity. I am listening to build my relationship. I am listening to understand. When I listen to understand, I ask questions. I ask questions to understand. I ask questions for clarity. I don't ask questions to make a point. The moment I am asking questions to prove a point, I am not operating from a place of love. And if need be, take some time away. Don't rush your process. Let the Holy Spirit do a work in you. Every single time we have to remember Jesus died to redeem us, and the Holy Spirit is here to walk us on this path of sanctification. That's the whole thing. That includes how I handle conflict. So I have to listen for clarity in love. I have to listen for building up the relationship. I have to listen to make sure that this person feels heard. I have to listen with love in mind. So I have to ask questions for clarity, and I have to answer in clarity. I feel statements are my ownership of the situation. I feel needs to be followed by an emotion. If I feel something, it should be an emotion. If I think something, I should say, I think, or it seems, or from my point of view, this is what it looks like. I can never say that you are doing this thing because I'm not sure, but it seems like you do not trust me. I cannot say, I feel like you don't trust me. No, I can say, I feel dismissed as a husband because it seems as if you don't trust me. I feel helpless. I feel useless because it seems as if you don't trust me enough to do X, Y, and Z, or whatever the case may be. But this is massive in speaking for what I feel and listening for what the other person feels. One question that constantly comes up in these moments is, well, what if they don't listen? And again, it starts with, am I saying this for them to change? Or am I saying this to express my side of it? Because that's a real option. If they are not in a place where they are allowing the Holy Spirit to slow them down so that they can listen well, that's going to be the response you get. They're not going to listen. But I have to know that that is between them and Jesus. I have to know that it is my job to communicate clearly in love for the sake of this relationship. Again, children, parents, sisters, brothers, family, work, church, small group, whatever it may be, it is my job to communicate clearly in love. If they do not want to hear it, that is between them and Jesus. This is life. Earlier this season, we talked about not avoiding. We have to stop avoiding these moments that are meant to sanctify us. This is life. Practicing these things, it is hard. It is very hard to practice these things and practice them well. But when you live and do life with like-minded Christians, the results are great. If you can have a conversation where people can listen and listen for clarity, you can speak with clarity. So much good comes from all of this, which is what Jesus intended in the Christian church. So please pray, slow down, choose wise words. Next week, we'll talk about boundaries and what to do in the moments when we keep hitting the same wall. But for now, practice speaking clearly and listening for clarity. What areas are you not being clear in your communication? Where do you think you need to listen better? And how can that idea of clarity and love help you this week? Those are the podcast questions. Obviously, as you know, there are different questions on the free download that is there every week. And then there are 5 more questions and a challenge for this week in the workbook that is available for purchase. If you want to keep doing this, moving forward, changing your life, one simple shift at a time, please at least download the worksheet. At least download the worksheet. Remember, shift happens on purpose. We'll see y'all next week.